YouTube! What the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and this time I will be playing as Pontus against Baktria. And again, my opponent was very polite, recognized me. It seems like I can't hardly go into a match without folks saying hi to me now at this point. So again, thank you all for your hospitality when I play online, and again, like I said, always playing me a good sporting match. I get lots of fun matches. Maybe that's why Rome 2 is so good for me, and some of you all get frustrated with it. I have the, I guess, great privilege of having so many folks treat me well online because they like my videos. So, and again, that is a privilege, and I want you all to think I'm sitting on here like, ooh, look at me, I make videos, everybody knows me. I assure you that I didn't get into this business to be known. In fact, I was surprised that I ever got a view on any of my videos, much less be at the point where I am. So thank you to you all. You make this a great deal of fun. Let me show you my army. I've brought an unorthodox, well, I don't know if it's really unorthodox for Pontus, but when you consider all things, pikes are not very good recently, so bronze shields and levy pikemen are pretty much out of the question for me. Pontic swords are okay. Hoplites, could be better. So I was thinking, what kind of army do I want to bring against Baktria? Baktria, who's a potential power faction. What's funny is that my opponent and I actually did very similar armies with a few differences. So let me show you. I've got 6 mercenary Scythian horse archers, and I have 6 noble blood cav, which are a very powerful melee cav. And then I have 4 hoplites, a Pontic swordsman for my general, and 3 eastern archers in the center. My opponent brought no infantry other than foot skirmishers, and he has 8 mercenary Syrian archers. He's got, let's see, 2 citizen cav, 3 Bactrian noble horse, a Hellenic cataphract over here, a horse skirmisher, and a Bactrian royal cav. So my opponent has the exact same idea I did. It's just that I brought all my excess archers basically on horseback rather than on foot. And it's going to give me the potential to exploit an advantage here. And that advantage is that my my horse archers will be capable of getting into melee with his archers and killing them, and also being more mobile on the battlefield. Now his have the potential to be more damaging because they have heavy shot and longer range. But my horse archers, again, have mobility on their side. And like right here, I'm harassing these Hellenic cataphracts with heavy shot. They're in the woods, and they're pretty well protected. But just trying to take some HP damage on those guys. And then over here, I'm trying to ease up on his flank so that I can fire some shots over this hill into his Bactrian noble horse. If I can start picking away at these guys, wow, sweet. They've got that new horse armor skin on them, too. They look sweet. And then here's his 8 Syrian archers. So I was kind of thinking about how to take this battle, and I was trying not to be hasty because I found hidden units over here. I didn't think my opponent had anything else hidden. My infantry is really not even needed for this other than to potentially screen his cav. So I kind of had in mind, like, what if I just charge my infantry to cav like this? And then, like, so I have these horsemen hidden here, and then cross into his archers with my melee cav. Take my melee cav into his archers, take my infantry to make his cavalry have to go around. So right now I'm actually trying to pick at his cavalry to pull it away from the archers. My opponent probably knows that I have this melee cav, but I'm keeping it hidden until an opportune moment. And that's just so that I can try and make things a little more surprising so he has less time to react. There's something weird going on here with the graphics. Check that out. Don't know what that is. Odd. Is it the arrows sticking in the tree? Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, I'm taunting a citizen cav, and I actually killed one of those Bactrian noble horsemen. I pulled my horse archers back for a second over here, and it's at this point that I go ahead and spring my melee cav into action. Here's my Pontic noble blood cavalry, which is looking very similar to the Bactrian noble horses. They're meant to be pretty similar. So I'm going to charge them forward and basically put his center under pressure now. I want to draw these cataphracts and horse skirmishers out of the woods so that my horse archers can get shots at them in the open. And again, just going to keep harassing this flank over here. This hill actually gives me a really nice getaway point because his cav will have a hard time climbing the hill and trying to catch my horse archers. You can see that here goes my attack, and I actually laid down upgrades on every single one of my noble blood cav. And noble blood cav are actually just a little bit better than Bactrian noble horse, because Bactrian noble horse got nerfed a little. And I'm guessing they did that because Bactria has access to such powerful elephants. They nerfed the Baktria Noble Horse just a little in attack, I believe, and a couple other stats. It's still a very good horseman, but it's just, like I said, been nerfed a little. And this one gets completely shredded by my horse archers. When you get into point-blank range with the heavy shot, where your guys don't miss as much, it can shred cavalry. So horse archers are very much a danger, even to your heavy cavalry with shields. As you can see, cost-effectively, this is a great trade. So now my opponent's under pressure because I'm charging my infantry body forward. I actually just decided to go with, you know what, I'm just going to charge my infantry straight at his archers to put them under pressure and keep my cavalry nearby to be ready to strike. He goes ahead and starts firing some shots into my horsemen. Good idea. That's going to cause HP damage. But over here, he's under some really serious threat because my noble blood cav is bearing down on his archers, and they're going to have very little protection against this. So I go ahead and make some charges, counter charges Bactrian Noble Horse and here, and then he's going to bring his Bactrian Royal Cav in, which is his general, which is a shot cav. Be good on the charge, but once it gets settled in, it won't do so well against my Noble Blood Cav. And already my horsemen are chasing his archers completely back. He hasn't engaged this citizen cav yet, which is interesting. And let's see, where's my horse archers? Oh, my horse archers had dragged a citizen cav out over here, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and lend my hoplites into the cav fights. This is going to help make sure it tips into my favor. And all the while his archers are firing away, trying to even out this cav fight. But I have my own skirmishers firing at some of his men who are also engaged by my noble blood cav. And here some of my blood cav breaks free, starts chasing down enemy archers, and it's happening here as well. And then again my hoplites are charging into all these cav fights, and they'll help make sure that it swings to my favor. So yeah, that's not going to be good for the enemy Bactrian horse. His cataphracts pounce out here and go after my noble blood cav, and it's going to hurt him, but this gives me a chance to just sit here and shoot him in the back at point-blank range with heavy shot. So you can see my men here. Heavy shot takes longer to reload, it's less accurate, but if you get close, it helps make up for the less accuracy. And with targets like horsemen, they don't miss as much. He charges his horse skirmishers into combat here, when really he should have used them to harass my horse archers, which are causing a great deal of damage to his cataphracts, citizen cav, and now his horse skirmishers, all being held up by one noble blood cav. And you can see here my blood cav getting into his archers. And he keeps a couple of units back and continues to pour in fire, which is a good plan. See if he can kill my guys, and say like right here, he's succeeding. But my archers are also now in range. But his guys are heavily armored. It's going to take my archers several volleys to start effecting some kills on them. But my horse archers are back in the vicinity now too. We've pretty much mopped up a lot of Syrian archers at this point, and my opponent never really had a great way to stop all my cavalry. He could have, because he technically had more cav than me. But my infantry allows me to put pressure on his cav in certain points, so I think we both had a similar idea, which is heavy skirmish armies where cavalry is the main striking force. It's just that the mobile versatility of the horse archers, I think, really gave me the edge here and allowed me to put this together. My opponent would have had a really hard time, I guess, keeping his skirmishers safe. And you'll notice how that if I would have picked some pike army here, then my opponent would have been able to out-skirmish and outmaneuver me. And so you got to be really careful about picking those pike armies these days. I actually was watching some footage from the Sich Cup on Zarip's channel. Not to say that I'm a great player like those guys as far as being able to control my army very well, but I am noticing a lot of weird army choices by competitive players. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I haven't gotten a chance to really study it, but some of them are strange. Like I see a lot of them still bringing pikes, and they bring them and only bring like a few skirmishers, like maybe just a few javelin men. And I always have to wonder, how are pikes going to do you any good in a situation where you can't absolutely force a frontal engagement? A few peltists is not enough to do that. And just like you saw in my last video with the Spartans, even when I had a lot of skirmishers, pikes are still at a severe disadvantage sometimes. So that's an interesting thing I see, is people still bringing pikes. I'm not saying they're worthless. I'm just saying it makes me question when you're going to bring them, how good a plan you have for using them. And then the other thing that I noted that was kind of interesting in that video, which I didn't get a chance to show you here, but a lot of people in tournaments are still spreading their units really thin. Like they'll bring spearmen and spread them into like 2 lines because they're used to that Shogun 2 mentality, which is if you spread across, spearmen can stop horses dead in their tracks. That won't happen on Rome 2. If you spread those spearmen that thin, I can just charge them with cavalry, and they will level your spearmen on the charge. Just level them. because they're not set up to take that charge. Now, it's not to say that that's necessarily always the right move, but I just find it interesting that people are running around swordsmen and spearmen with so much melee cav on the game. I'm always shocked how rarely I see cavalry charges into these thin infantry formations, because it's actually extremely effective to do so. Now again, there are going to be situations when you may want to avoid it. For instance, if you charge their infantry, which is vulnerable, but they have a cav charge waiting right behind to destroy your cav, you may kill a bunch of their infantry and it may be worth it, but you'll probably lose your cavalry in the attempt. I'm just saying there's times when people think that infantry can act autonomously in those thin lines and that they'll be impervious from cav because they're spearmen, but that's not true. So for instance, in the Sich Cup film on Zarip's channel, it was interesting. In one of the battles, one of the players takes a unit of Hellenic cataphracts and actually charges straight through a unit of Thurio spears and just completely destroys it on the charge because it's only 2 men deep. He ended up losing the cav fight over there because of things that happened later, but it was just it was nice to see that happen on film, because I think too often I see people spreading their lines thin still in this game, and I'm not saying it can't be good in certain scenarios. I'm just saying be very careful of it, because that bracing mechanic is something different in Rome 2. And I don't know how I got onto that conversation. It's probably because I saw that Sich Cup footage, and I just like watching that kind of stuff, even though I don't play competitive. It's just interesting to see how other players play. And again, I'm not on here like criticizing the way the tournament players play. I'm a commentator. I comment on things. I wasn't in the tournament, and if I felt like I could win it, I might go play in those things. But it's so, again, not here to criticize them. Just I find it interesting why some of these people make these choices. But good game to my opponent. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for my opponent. I appreciate your friendliness and your sportsmanship there in the match. It was a fun one. We both kind of had the same idea. Like I said, I guess mine just worked out more fortunate for me this time, unlike my last battle with Sparta. But like I said, good game. Heir of Carthage signing off for now.